Hi, it's Jane, and on today, Healthier You, we're going to talk about salt, sodium. Um, but first, let me give you the medical disclaimer. Always check with your physician before starting any exercise or dietary program. Information here is my personal research in different health topics and is not to be considered medical advice. Now, I originally went down this road on this topic because I had posted a video about things that I buy from Dollar Tree that I thought were of value all the time. And some of those were some Campbell's soups, chicken noodle, tomato soup, those kind of things. And someone had left a comment in the comment about so loaded with sodium or something like that, and not a good purchase. So and I know that they have a certain amount of sodium. However, when you follow that serving size, is that an overwhelming amount of sodium? And I did find out a few interesting things along the way. What had originally happened was, in my mind, I said, those little packets of salt and pepper that you get on, in the stores, in the fast food restaurants to salt your food, right? Pepper your food. I thought, how much sodium is in that one little packet? And the reason I question this is I have a friend who has high blood pressure and really needs to watch their sodium. But whenever we go out to eat, she reaches for one of those packets or the salt shaker and does this big salting of her food. Not really realizing how much she is adding. And I'm one of those people that when I go to a restaurant, I'll give you an example, Wendy's, McDonald's, if I'm at a fast food restaurant. I get fries, I always ask for no salt. Now I know it has salt in it because that's how they preserve it when they freeze it. But I don't want any added salt. Because if you've ever seen those fry baskets, where they leave the fries and scoop them up, they salt those probably all day long without cleaning that metal basket. And it's loaded with sodium. But I don't like a lot of sodium to begin with. I don't salt my food generally. Very rarely do I salt it. So, my question started around that. Just that. And what I found was rather interesting and surprising. So, my first question was, in those little packets, how much salt is in there? And what I found is that it does, different brands are going to give you more or less, but generally it's somewhere between 0.5 to 0.75 grams of salt. So that's about an eighth of a teaspoon, or 200 milligrams of sodium, which that is the amount of sodium that are in these soups when you ingest them, is around 200 to 250. Some of them are a little less, some a little more, but generally that's the average in a can of soup. So then I started looking at some of the other things about the salt that I was kind of curious about, and I found a salt calculator. So I'm going to read you the information that was there at that site. It says, welcome to Omni Calculator Sodium and Salt Calculator. Have you ever wondered how much sodium is in a teaspoon of salt? It's important to keep in mind that the amount of sodium in a tablespoon of salt may differ depending on the type of salt. Regular table salt contains the highest amount of sodium per teaspoon. However, you might be surprised that the level of sodium in Himalayan salt is almost as high, while it is considered more healthy. Salt is one of the most powerful preservatives. Therefore, it is added to most of the food we consume, especially processed food. Salt consists of chloride and sodium, which are essential minerals that play a crucial role in regulating blood pressure, balancing fluids, and transmitting nerve impulses. However, consuming too much sodium can have negative effects on your health. If you would like to check your recommended sodium intake, they have a micronutrient calculator that you can do that with. And drink here. So, the next question that they have on that website is, why should I monitor how much sodium is in a teaspoon of salt? When we consume excessive amounts of sodium, it accumulates in the body. To balance higher sodium levels, the body retains more water to dilute it, increasing blood volume. This elevated blood volume raises blood pressure, which over time may lead to increased blood pressure, heart attack, or even stroke. It's important to note that some individuals may need to consume more sodium than others. My mother-in-law was one of those people because her sodium levels in her body were so low that she had to consume more sodium on a daily basis. So she salted everything. It's important to note that athletes and those who sweat a lot may need to consume to maintain proper fluid balance. And also, if your electrolytes, if you are a low sodium constantly with your electrolytes, you need to consume more sodium. So, individuals with certain medical conditions, those with kidney disease may need to limit it more strictly. So monitoring your sodium intake is crucial in some medical conditions. And then they have several calculators that you can use to find that. But what I found interesting was they have a table that talks about the sodium. And one of the questions was, is there more sodium in sea salt or table salt? The amount of sodium in salt varies for different types of salt, but which salt is the lowest? Usually, fine salt is denser, so it contains more sodium than coarse salt. And so in that table, what they showed was, and this is just a teaspoon of salt, iodized table salt, fine, 2,300 milligrams of sodium in a teaspoon. All right, I need to change my battery. Hang on. Okay, and the next salt on the list is kosher salt, which is coarse. It has 1,920 milligrams of sodium. Now remember, these are a teaspoon. Sea salt, fine, has 2,120 milligrams. Sea salt coarse has 1,560. Himalayan salt has 2,200. Potassium salt, which is a salt substitute, has 0. So, the American Heart Association has determined that we shouldn't consume more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day, which is about 1 teaspoon of table salt. And so what they do is they're wanting people to be aware of that in processed foods you're going to get more salt. So processed foods such as canned soups, frozen dinners, packaged snacks are often high in sodium. Even seemingly healthy foods like bread and cheese can contain high levels of sodium. So there are some ways that you can actually reduce that sodium by using salt substitutes, those kind of things. But one of the things that they most often talk about is how challenging it is. Cooking at home with fresh ingredients and choosing low sodium options when you're shopping for food is great. Using herbs and spices to add flavor instead of salt when cooking. Choosing fresh fruits and vegetables as snacks. Reading those labels all the time, not just every once in a while. Even when you think you know the label, double check because it may have increased the sodium. And, just basically choosing lower sodium options when available. So I did find that a little bit interesting simply because of that one comment about the soup. And yeah, does that mean that I'm eating that soup consistently? No. I may have a can of soup twice a month. And generally, I don't have the whole can. I have it split in half. So it goes a little bit further, and I generally add more water because I don't like the saltiness of it. So there are a lot of things that you can do to reduce the sodium amounts. But yeah, that was just a little take on that sodium, and that resulted from that. I've had people ask me how I choose a subject. Sometimes it's conversations that I've had with people when we're talking about something, and sometimes it happens to be a comment that comes across a video that I had done. So yeah, I understand for a lot of people that they may consider that higher in sodium. But like I said, the things that I buy, like those soups and, the pizza crust and those kind of things, they aren't things that I'm eating daily. They are things that I add into my diet. And generally, if I have had soup for dinner, let's say chicken noodle soup, I may have half a sandwich with it, or I may have an apple with it. And that is it. That's the meal. So, I just kind of look at it like we need to be more aware of those kind of things that are in the processed foods that we eat. But do we have to absolutely not ever eat processed food? That's up to you. That's up to your individual taste. I do know that, number one, I don't do any canning. So, and I rarely make my own homemade chicken noodle soup because if you're going to make chicken noodle soup homemade, I think you should be making a huge quantity of it. And then I want to later be able to either freeze it or can it. But I don't do a lot of canning. So, used to, but I don't do a lot of it. And I will tell you, I have an older sister that tells me I need to do more canning. So maybe I will start that. But yeah, I think we need to be a little less judgmental of others as well. But we need to educate ourselves about these kind of things. And that's the important thing. And that's what I hope that some of these Healthier You videos bring to you a little bit more information so you can make a better choice for you, yourself, your family, whatever. So yeah. All right, guys, that is it. I will see you again probably next week. I am working on a new round of Healthier You, just because I like to do that, and I do like to do a little bit of research into those kind of things. But In the meantime, remember, do something kind today, whether it's for yourself or for someone else. Bye.